So what it's going to say, and I wanted to be very specific on it, is basically that phones must be, or electronic devices must be silenced and physically put away. Mean like in your backpack, or not backpack, in your pocket, out of sight, right? Kind of an out of sight, turned off because you don't want to get disturbed, right? We've all been there.
Yeah.
Out of sight during instructional class time and
Okay.
any other time where the device would cause a disrupting to the learning
Okay.
environment. The actual policy goes into effect when we come back from winter break. We want to make sure that if we have in our school, the 1-2 violation, and then you can't have your phone in here at the school anymore. If we get to that point, which I'll tell you, not a lot of kids. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think the protected instructional time, 99.9% of our kids are killing it. They're doing such a good job of not being on their phone. I can see it when I go into classrooms. Our teachers see it. But if we get to that point, it's all about that communication with the parent, right? And saying, hey, this is what's happening. And, we get to a point where we have kids that come turn it in the morning. They get it at the afternoon. But you could get to a point where you just can't have it at school at all. And we don't want that either. I think we're not making people not bring them to school, right? Like I was talking about, they need to be off and away.
Yeah.
Now, if you have it in a locker, I can understand that. But, most of the time, kids don't use lockers. They have backpacks. In the case of emergency, we get that, right? Because we know, obviously, there was a time that we didn't have cell phones, right? But we do now, right? And so those kinds of emergencies, and I think it's a good and bad sometimes when people can communicate during an emergency, because just being honest with you, a lot of the information that comes out during emergencies is not true, which then elevates things, So during an actual emergency, we've talked about, and to say, hey, if you have a phone, or because we know you're going to do it, right? Just say you're fine. Let your parents know you're fine. And because the worst thing they can do is these conflicting, things about the emergency. We had a situation, remember, where the fire alarm went off during lunch a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Well, people were texting their families and were saying that things that just weren't true, and then it hyped up parents.
Yeah.
And then they're showing up, kind of making it worse, right? But I get it, their babies are here, all kinds of stuff. So we're not taking them away for that. We need to do a better job of hey, there's an emergency. Let your parents or whoever know you're okay, but let's not share information that we don't know yet, kind of thing. And the other thing, and sometimes we don't realize, is in the event of a really big emergency, cell phones aren't going to work. And not because of just so many people. Have you ever been to a college event or a college game, a football game or something?
Yeah.
My phone never works. When I go to it, it's really slow, because you literally have 60,000 people all on their phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what happens if something is a big event too. So yeah, my wife worries too, right? With things, and we have parents here who have kids and other, that they want to know that their kids are safe. And I know that parents want to know those kids safe. We're not going to stop that. Now, I think people need to think about that when they continually violate, don't do so many things that you can't have your phone here, because then you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't want that at all. If it's in a family emergency, they need to contact the office.
Yeah.
Right? And then we can get to the kid almost sooner, right, than they can with the phone. right?
Yeah.
Because then what you have too is if they, just contact the kid, then we don't know what's going on, and the kid's coming down here, and they're maybe panicked. And in some situations, like maybe we need to be with them. Maybe the emergency is such that we don't want the kid alone until their family gets here.